Carolina, calling People vs. Jennifer Crumbly, case number 222799990 FH.
Good afternoon, Karen McDonald on behalf of the people.
Thank you, Marquise, on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon, I'm Shannon Smith on behalf of Jennifer Crumbly, who sits to my left.
All right, are you ready for the report? I'm Robert Costa in Washington. We are coming on the air with breaking news from Pontiac, Michigan, where a verdict has been reached in a groundbreaking case. Jennifer Crumbly is charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter after her teen son Ethan killed 4 high school classmates in November 2021. Ethan Crumbly was sentenced last year to life in prison without parole for their deaths. This is the first time in the United States a parent has been charged in a mass school shooting committed by their child. Each of the charges against Jennifer Crumbly carry a maximum penalty of 15 years. The verdict is about to be read. Let's listen in.
Judge, do you want us to sit up with stay standing or
It's up to you. It's up to you. I really want the audience to stay seated after when the verdict's read and after that. And it's
it doesn't matter.
She can stand. She wants to.
Okay. Do you want us to stand?
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been informed that verdict. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Are you the correct person?
I am.
Could you please read your verdict?
Individually?
Sure.
Okay. On count 1 of involuntary manslaughter as to Madison Baldwin, we find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter. On count 2 of involuntary manslaughter in regards to Tate Muir, we find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter. On count 3 as to involuntary manslaughter regarding Hannah St. Juliana, we find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter. And in count 4 of involuntary manslaughter against Justin Schilling, we find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
Thank you for allowing me to be seated. And I'm going to control this whole thing.
Juror in seat number 1, was that and is that your verdict?
It is.
Juror in seat number 2, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 3, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 5, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 6, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 7, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 8, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 11, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 12, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 13, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 14, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 16, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We all know that this is one of the hardest things you've ever done. I'm going to ask you to return to the jury room. The 2 remaining alternates are also going to join you, and I'll be with you in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All rise for the jury.
All right, you may be seated.
Elaine Quijano has been following the trial and is in Pontiac, Michigan for us at CBS News. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson will join us in a moment. But let's begin with you, Elaine. What's your reporter's assessment of this verdict across the board?
Well, it took these jurors, 6 men and 6 women, about 11 hours over the course of the past day and a half to reach this landmark decision, guilty verdicts on all 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. Now, in its closing, the defense had argued that Jennifer Crumbly was an imperfect parent, that the choices she made did not necessarily perhaps line up with others' views on parenting, but the defense had tried to say that those choices did not amount to criminal behavior under involuntary manslaughter charges. The prosecution, however, sought to portray a very different picture of Jennifer Crumbly, saying that she was an inattentive mother. They said it was both what she did in buying the gun along with her husband which her son then used in the shooting, and what she did not do, not getting her son help, they said, for his declining mental health, not telling school officials that he did in fact have a gun, and not taking him home in the hours just before the shooting. She had been called to the school along with her husband to meet with school officials about some disturbing drawings that her son had made. So now the jury has come back with this landmark decision. Sentencing for Jennifer Crumbley will come at a future date. And then Bob, Crumbley's husband, James Crumbley, whose name came up over and over during the course of this trial, he is set to go on trial himself, also facing involuntary manslaughter charges next month.
Elaine, thank you. Stay with us. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson is also with us. Jessica, what does this mean for those future cases?
Well, I think Elaine, in her excellent reporting, has said it exactly right. This is a landmark case. This is the first case where we're asking whether or not criminal liability for a mass shooting extends not just from the child who perpetrates that shooting, but also to the children. In this case, the jury answered that in the affirmative. And I think the question moving forward is, will there be, sadly, we know this won't be the last mass shooting in a school. Will there be other prosecutors who will try the same tact? Now, let's remember, there were very bad facts here against Jennifer Crumbley. But if a similar situation occurs, will prosecutors now say, you know what, this is another route for us to find criminal liability?
What do you believe weighed most heavily on the jurors in this case?
So I think it was a combination of listening to the prosecution say, she bought him the gun. The gun was not properly stored. She went to the school that day. She saw the drawing that was troubling enough for the school to say to the parents, come in, and she knew of her son's mental health issues. I also think, and Elaine can report on this, obviously, based on what she saw in the courtroom, but I think what weighed in the jury's mind is that when she was on the stand, she said, I would not have done anything differently. And I think the jurors in their mind were saying, you know what, you had a duty, you breached duty by acting and failing to act, and that was at least one cause of what happened here. You could have stopped it.
Jessica Levinson and Elaine Quijano, thank you. Our coverage will continue on CBS News Streaming, your local news and